everyone. I would like to welcome today Claire Armstrong on the Voice of Truth Revolution. Claire has an extensive training and performance experience as an actor and singer. She has acted on stages across North America in challenging roles such as Shakespeare, Lady Macbeth, and Maria in West Side Story. Claire has sung classical concerts in multiple languages and has mastered a wide range of dialects in acting in her acting work. She also acts in film and television, continuously propelling herself forward as a versatile performer. Claire, welcome.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you so much for having me.
So Claire, how did you get into acting? Walk me through through this journey of discovery.
Oh boy, it feels like it's been a long journey. Well, I started out doing musical theater when I was quite young, about 10 or 11 years old. And right away, my mom put me into voice lessons. And that really helped me sort of come out of my shell and find my voice. And then I also started taking piano lessons. And the music was a really, really great way in. And then as I got older and into high school, I started doing community theater. And community theater is so great because it's outside of school. So you sort of develop this different community, and you're getting to know all sorts of different artists who, all different age ranges. So I was meeting a lot of really great actors who might, during the day, be lawyers or teachers or dentists. And then in the evening, we're all putting on, Fiddler on the Roof. So it was really sort of there that I found a theater community and then really learned to find my place. And it was a very mutually supportive environment. So that's always a really great way to get involved and to sort of find your feet. Right. And then I continued doing theater when I was in university. I studied it as my major. And then when I graduated, I took a crack at it and got myself an agent and and started auditioning.
Right. So what was your first audition like when you actually went? You were just like going out there for this major. I mean, I've known you for a while. I know you jet setted across like Ontario, BC. Yeah. I mean, the States. So what was that first audition? What did it feel like? I'd say my first professional audition out of university was for a Shakespeare company that I've worked with for a few years now. And I saw them initially for what they call their general auditions, where they'll see anywhere from 200 to 400 actors within the span of a couple days. And they sort of put you through in fleets, and so they see 25 of you in small groups. And they'll ask you to sing and dance just to sort of see if you're comfortable with your body and with your voice. And then they'll bring you back in for callbacks. So I went in for a few callbacks where they'd have me prepare a Shakespearean monologue. And then in the next level, they'd ask me to prepare something specific of their choosing. And then they'd have you start reading with other potential actors. And that's when it gets really exciting, when you're actually working with another actor and seeing how that pairing works. Wow. So it's a lot of preparation and a lot of just sort of doing the best that you can and knowing that no matter what, you went in and you showed yourself, and if it's right for the part, then it'll work out. So there must be a lot of competitiveness. I mean, there must be a lot of competition. I mean, people are trying to get in. There are a few spots. Like, how does one get in there with a mindset and say, you know what, like, I gotta stand out, and I gotta get this part, but I gotta do it in a way that is ethical, right? How does one put that hat on? It's true. There's so many factors, and one of the biggest factors is who you know. And a lot of the time that is construed as a negative thing, but it really can also be a positive thing. As as soon as you work with one company, then you'll be getting to know all of those artists, and then you're always branching off and doing your own projects with other artists that you've met and that you respect and sort of want to make work with. But you're absolutely right that you have to try to remember that ultimately there are so many factors outside of your control, and all that you can really do is work hard at practicing
your own craft and going in and just showing them who you are and being confident that you've shown your best. And, you know, often it comes down to she's too tall because we've already cast the male part and he's shorter, you know, so you just have to trust that as long as you do your best, that you know, that's the most important thing.
Right. So who inspired you in this journey? I mean, did you see a film that impacted you? You know, was there a mentor, somebody who was like, you know, I believe in you. I believe you can do this. You know, keep going, you know, because it can be discouraging too, because there's so many people doing the same thing. But, you know, you've been in it for a while and you've enjoyed some success in it. And so I'm just wondering, like, you know, when people watching and, like, you know, how did you get your inspiration? How did you keep, you know, going on and doing, you know, what you do?
Absolutely. It's a good question. I mean, certainly I've been so fortunate that my parents have been behind me the whole way and gave up most of their lives for several years to drive me to practice for this and drive me to rehearsal for that and drive me to this. And they must have, you know, absolutely, you know, waiting for an hour in the car while I go into my voice lesson. And, you know, so I think that has certainly, I've been so fortunate that they have always said, we will support you, you know, if you want to take this leap. And it's a bunch of leaps, you know, every time you do a project, it's really exciting, and then when it ends, you have to think about, okay, what's the next one, you know, and so there's a lot of ups and downs. Certainly, one of my high school drama teachers was very inspirational, and I'm so fortunate that I had her as a teacher, because it's really such a pivotal time in your life when you're deciding what you'd like to study in post-secondary or after you're out of high school, and she really helped me see that this was something that I could do at the higher level. And so she, you know, she gave me projects and things that would really stretch me as an actor and sort of help me explore kind of, you know, the deeper characters and things like that, rather than just musicals. And not that there's anything wrong with musicals, because I love those too. But
and you're going to give us a demonstration of this later, right?
Absolutely.
You're going to sing a tune for us.
So she was very instrumental for me, and she's, you know, ironically, it's probably been about, I guess, 10 years now that I've been out of high school, and she was able to see me in a performance last year with this Shakespeare company, because we do some performances for high school audiences. So my childhood school drove into Toronto from the Niagara region, and she was able to see me on stage in Hamlet. So that was really exciting, yeah. And I was able to show her, you know, that all of this faith that she had in me is working. So.
Wow, that's amazing. It's great, you know, to have those great teachers that you know, invest time and see a quality and don't give up on you, you know, and they don't know the kind of ripple effect that it has on that person for the rest of their lives, right? And you can have the other way around, where you have a disastrous teacher. You're like, I'm never acting again. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I have to ask you this question. So who are your best actors today? Like, who do you, when you look at, you know, not like not like, you know, okay, you know, I want to be them, but like, I want to master the craft like the way they have, right?
Well, I mean, the greats, of course, you know, Sean Penn, Russell Crowe, a lot of the great actors that are now moving into that sort of, you know, that era of their lives where they can basically choose any role they want, and they're choosing great roles. Meryl Streep is more, you know, I'd say in the acting world, she is the queen of the universe, as we call her. And, yeah, she's just incredible. Exactly. And there are a lot of really exciting young actors as well. I really like Carey Mulligan, who's doing a lot of things right now. She's been in a lot of movies recently. Rooney Mara, who was the girl with the dragon tattoo. And she really reinvented herself and spent a lot of time living in Sweden and really studying the culture, and that made her character so real. So there are a lot of exciting young actors right now too, which it's just really great for me. And I'm a big fan of movies, of course. So.
Yes, of course. Do you get a chance to watch movies with your crazy jet-setting schedule?
Absolutely. I make, you know, people are sometimes teasing me because I'm a big fan of the dramas and and I often prefer to see something that's, you know, heart-wrenching and really, really difficult to watch sometimes, rather than a funny movie, you know. And I'm lucky that I have a lot of fun in my personal life, so I try to see really dramatic, serious things in when I go to see movies. But I do, yeah. I love to go to the cinema, and I think it's really important to see as much as you possibly can of your medium, you know. And I try to watch a variety of different things, you know, some more independent films, and especially when the Toronto International Film Festival comes around.
Yes, yeah.
That's a very exciting time of year.
Right. So I know from speaking with you and being in touch with you that you took this awesome trip to was it Bali, or where did you go? Yeah, yeah. Was it something like Eat, Pray, Love, whatever? Like, what was your experience like?
It was, you know, at some point I did say to myself, this is so much like Eat, Pray, Love, it's almost silly, you know. But I was so fortunate. I was originally supposed to travel with a good friend of mine, and then he was unable to get the time away from work. So I decided to go on my own, and I was there for a month, and I really just adored traveling alone. You know, Thailand is a very friendly place and a very welcoming place, so I always felt safe and, you know, able to explore. I spent some time seeing some theater there, some traditional style theater, which was really, really unbelievable, and they use these intricate masks and unbelievable costumes, and it's a very specific kind of dance. And I also spent 5 days living at a Buddhist temple.
Oh,
yeah. And studying.
How did you find that?
What's that?
Oh, how did you find that?
It was very different than I had expected. I was going there to study meditation, and so you lived on the grounds, and every morning you have a seminar with one of the monks, and everyone takes a vow of silence, which, as you can imagine, for me was I had to sink myself into that one. Yeah, not speak for 6 days was you know, like doing the Olympics for me. But it was so useful to just spend that time sort of. The temple itself sits on the top of a mountain, so I was just in nature, and it was, you know, felt very isolated from all the noise of the city, and it was really remarkable to have that time just with myself, especially having come, you know, halfway across the world. So I think it's so important to travel and to see what is out there, and for me it really helped me realize just how fortunate I am in Canada, and so when I came back I really felt that, and I felt a renewed desire to really propel myself further and make use of the gifts that I have, because I have so many.
Cool. So what are there any projects in the pipeworks, you know, in the near future? What's going on?
Yeah, well, this in the month of August, so coming up, I'm going to be heading out to Belleville, Ontario, and I'll be living there for 6 weeks, and I'll be doing a production of Calendar Girls.
Oh wow! That's neat.
Great fun, especially because the play itself is set in Yorkshire, in England, so we're all going to be using Yorkshire accents.
Oh wow!
So I know, it's gonna be hilarious. They'll bring in a dialect coach and somebody who can sort of help you with making sure the accent is spot on.
Right.
Later in the year, in the fall, I'm looking at putting up a show independently with some artist friends of mine that I've worked with, and it's also a play set in England, and we're looking at doing it in downtown Toronto, and so that will be exciting because it's always a very different experience to put on your own show from that.
Yeah. How is it different? Like what when you say it's different, tell the audience how is it different?
It's a lot more vulnerable in a way, because you do all of your own publicity, you do all of your own sort of promoting it and get out there, you know, and it's really just yourself and the other actors and the director and your stage manager and your designers and everybody who works on it, but there's no company name per se, you know, so you really, you know, you feel like the show is really close to your heart, and you're putting it out there as something that you worked on personally, as opposed to just something that you might have been hired for.
Right. Right.
You know, so you put a lot of heart into it, so it's a bit more of a vulnerable experience, and you're hoping that people will like it and people will talk about it, and it will be exciting for people to come see. So it's yeah, it's important. It's an important thing to do as an artist to do your own work, because it really shows you, you know, that it's possible.
Yeah, and your diversity of skill sets as well, right? Comes forward as well. Yeah. Well, that's great. So how does one follow you? Like, you know, how does one figure out, like, what's Claire doing in October? What's Claire doing in December?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm sure people after this interview would be like, gosh, we got to watch her. I mean, you know, this is a up and rising star, you know.
Yeah.
And I get the first rides of the first interview.
Yeah.
How do people follow you, Claire?
Well, I'm working on my website, which will be ready very shortly, so that will be up, and it's going to be claire-armstrong.com. And you can always Google Claire Armstrong, and you might want to put Claire Armstrong actor as the keyword, because I know there are a few other Claire Armstrongs out there who are web designers or various things like that. So there are clairearmstrong.com. But and I have all sorts of media on there, photos and video as well, because I'm also doing independent shows and things like that, so you can see clips of whatever it is that I'm working on, the latest project, and then news on shows that are coming up as well.
Right. Okay. Awesome. So, Claire, one last question.
Sure.
For people who are, you know, young teens, you know, there's obviously a lot of pressure, you know, for teens when they look at actors, actresses, you know, on the media, on, you know, print magazines. What is the one thing that you can tell them? Because I know you're true to who you are. That's why you're on this program. And I know you don't fall under, you know, certain pressures. You know, you're who you are. You're incredibly comfortable in your skin, and so what would you like to, you know, what is the message out there to, you know, young teens, you know, who are struggling with perhaps, you know, body image, self-confidence, self-esteem, and other sort of, you know, image sort of disorders? What would be your message to them?
Absolutely. You know, it's funny because I am so fortunate to feel comfortable with myself and that sort of thing, but I also have certainly spent so much time feeling, you know, I'm not as good as that person, or that person is so much further ahead than I am, or that person is more talented than I am, or they're, you know, all those sorts of things. And especially in any industry, especially in the arts, but with any dream that is really important to you, it's so easy for us to fall prey to comparing ourselves to our peers, you know, and feeling like maybe we're not as far enough along or not as good as they are. And I think it's so important to remind yourself that it's a journey, you know, and the journey is long, and sometimes you're ahead, sometimes you're behind, but it's important to continuously remind yourself that if this is what you have chosen to do, and if this is something exactly
enjoy, it's a passion,
that's important to you, then that is going to take care of it all, you know, and the passion that you stay true to is going to make your work real. And that's, you know, and the universe will reward you for that, absolutely, you know, and you just have to, I think, also be kind to yourself. You know, there are a lot of ups and downs, so allow yourself to have the times where you feel like maybe you're struggling and you're not sure which way to go. But as long as you stay true to whatever dream you've decided to choose, then you'll get there. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Claire. I want to thank you so much for speaking with us today, spending time here on the Voice of Truth Revolution. It was a great pleasure to have you here, and you know, to the many teens perhaps that are watching, or moms that are watching this, please let your teens you know, hear Claire. Claire, I've known Claire for a while now, and you know, she really is, you know, authentic. She says what she means, and she means what she says. And you know, although all of us have had, you know, some struggles or the other, I think it's important, you know, to realize that once we have a passion and a dream, that we just follow it, and you know, that's the best that we can do.
And you know, it's also really important to find a community as well, and find a community that helps you feel like you can support each other, and that's been so helpful for me to find other actors and other artists and musicians that we can all mutually support each other. So definitely a community is something that can really help give you the confidence and the support.
Right. Well, we thank you again, Claire. Thank you. And we'll see you hopefully again sometime in the future, maybe on the big screen or maybe here on the Voice of Truth Revolution. I'm Sandra Weppler on the Voice of Truth Revolution. I hope you guys have enjoyed our show today with Claire Armstrong. Have yourself a great day. Signing off.